sticky threads pulling off chopsticks. That's natto, fermented soybeans, and it's the food most Westerners physically recoil from. The smell, the slime, the strings. But a samurai army found this in a straw bag, warmed by their own horses, ate it, and loved it. And here's the part that matters. This slimy breakfast food is the single richest natural source of the one vitamin that tells your body to put calcium into your bones instead of your arteries. That's the Natto Method. Stay with me, because by the end you'll understand the 1,000-year-old accident that samurai carried into war, why fermenting a soybean turns it into something completely different, and the reason the food you'd gag at is quietly one of the best engineered things you could eat. Let's talk about what you're being sold. The longevity supplement aisle is exploding right now. Vitamin K2 capsules, nattokinase soft gels, spore probiotic bottles, plant protein tubs, each sold separately, each premium priced, each promising better bones, better circulation, a better gut. And the ingredients aren't fake, they're real compounds with real research. But here's what the 4 separate bottles won't tell you. Every one of those things exists together, already combined, in one fermented food people have eaten for 1,000 years, for about $1 a pack. We took a whole food, pulled it into 4 supplements, and sold you back the pieces at a markup. That's not innovation. That's disassembly with a price tag. So let's go back to the people who ate the original. The most famous story about natto is a legend, and I'll tell it as one, because the truth is, it probably predates the samurai and may even trace back to China. But this is the story the Japanese tell. In the 11th century, during the Gosannen War, a celebrated samurai general named Minamoto no Yoshiie was campaigning in the cold north of Japan. His army was boiling soybeans, not for themselves, but as feed for their horses when they were suddenly forced to move. In the rush, the soldiers packed the still hot beans into bags made of rice straw and rode hard, often through the night. And rice straw, it turns out, naturally carries the exact bacteria that ferments soybeans. Wrapped in that straw, kept warm by the body heat and the sweat of the running horses, the beans transformed on the ride. A day or two later, the soldiers opened the bags, found the beans sticky, stringy, and strong-smelling, and ate them anyway. They liked it. They brought it to Yoshiie, and he liked it too. Legend remembers him as the father of natto, and whether or not that exact ride happened, the deeper truth holds. Natto became genuine warrior food. It was portable, it kept, and it was dense in protein, which made it a real staple of samurai provisions and of the vegetarian temple cuisine that Zen Buddhist monks lived on. A food that feeds both an army and a monastery is a food worth understanding. Now, before we go further, there's one caveat, and it's the one that actually matters. If you take blood thinners, this is a food you need to talk to your doctor about before eating regularly. And here's the interesting part. The reason it interacts with those drugs is the exact same reason it's so good for you. Natto is absolutely loaded with vitamin K, and vitamin K is central to how your blood clots, so it works directly against a drug like warfarin. It also contains an enzyme that breaks clots down, so if you're on anticoagulants or you have a bleeding disorder, get medical advice first. For everyone else, this is just a whole food that millions of people have eaten daily for centuries, and the only real trick is learning to enjoy it, which I'll get to. Here's why it's worth it. So let's break down what fermentation actually does, because this is where a soybean becomes something else entirely. Start with the transformation. You take a boiled soybean, which on its own is hard to digest and full of compounds that block your body from absorbing its minerals, and you introduce one bacterium, Bacillus subtilis. Over about a day, that bacterium doesn't just preserve the bean. It manufactures brand new things that were never in the soybean to begin with. Vitamin K2, an enzyme called nattokinase, extra B vitamins and compounds that fight off harmful bacteria, and it breaks down those mineral-blocking anti-nutrients, so the protein and iron and calcium suddenly become far more available to you. The bean goes in. A functionally different, more powerful food comes out. That's not preservation. That's an upgrade performed by a living organism. Now here's something you can do right now, and it is literally the method. If you have a pack of natto, open it, and before you add a single thing, take a chopstick or a fork and just start stirring. Keep going. 20 times, 30, 40. Watch what happens. The beans go from a dull, clumpy pile to a glossy, foaming tangle of threads that stretch further every single time you lift the spoon. Those threads have a name, Ito, and that stretch you're seeing is a chain of molecules the bacteria built that was not in the soybean an hour ago. You're not stirring food. You're watching the exact fermentation a samurai army found alive in a straw bag happening on your plate. And the more you stir, the lighter and creamier it gets, which is the first secret to actually enjoying it. So let's talk about that vitamin, because it's the star of the whole thing. Picture the calcium in the milk you drank this morning arriving in your bloodstream with nowhere to go, like a delivery truck with no address on the package. Natto is the richest natural source of a form of vitamin K2 called MK7, and K2 does something genuinely elegant. Think of it as a traffic controller for calcium. You've been told your whole life to get enough calcium for your bones, but calcium on its own doesn't know where to go, and calcium in the wrong place, in your arteries, is exactly what you don't want. Vitamin K2 solves that. It switches on a protein called osteocalcin, which pulls calcium into your bones, and it switches on another protein that actively keeps calcium out of your arteries. So it directs the traffic into the skeleton, away from the blood vessels. Without K2, you're shipping bricks to a construction site with no foreman telling anyone where to put them. Now I have to be honest about how strong this is, because I'm not going to oversell it. Most of the studies linking natto to denser bones and healthier arteries are observational, a lot of them from Japan, where people actually eat this regularly. A 2025 review confirmed that eating natto reliably raises your K2 levels and switches on those calcium-managing proteins. What it couldn't prove with certainty is the final step, that this guarantees harder bones for everyone. So here's the honest version. Natto absolutely delivers the raw material and flips the switch on the machinery that builds a durable body. The association with stronger bones and cleaner arteries is real, but it's the kind of evidence that points, not the kind that proves. It supports the system. It's not a magic pill. And that's still a remarkable thing for a food to do. There's a second compound worth knowing about. That enzyme, nattokinase. It breaks down fibrin, the structural protein your body uses to build blood clots, and natto is the only food on Earth that contains it. The research on it for circulation and blood pressure is promising, but here's the catch. Most of that research is on concentrated supplements, and whether a single bowl of natto gives you enough to matter is genuinely debated. So it's a fascinating enzyme, not a blood-thinning drug on a plate. And then there's the gut, which is the reason this food is trending right now. The bacterium in natto forms spores, tiny armored shells that survive your stomach acid and arrive in your intestine alive, which most of the bacteria in yogurt can't do. So, natto delivers a genuinely tough probiotic, plus fiber, plus that clot-dissolving enzyme, plus the richest K2 in the food world, all in one sticky serving. So let's clear up the biggest objection, because half of you have been waiting to raise it. Isn't soy bad for you? And the answer is that fermented soy is a completely different food from the processed soy the panic is about. That fear is aimed at soy protein isolate, the industrial stuff in processed food. Fermentation changes everything. It breaks down the anti-nutrients, it pre-digests the protein, and it creates the K2 and the nattokinase that don't exist in a raw soybean at all. Traditional fermented soy, eaten for 1,000 years, is not a soy protein bar. And the second myth is simpler, that natto is just a weird, gross breakfast. It's arguably the most functionally loaded fermented food on the planet, and the smell is the least interesting thing about it. Which brings us to what we actually lost. We didn't lose access to any of this. We lost the understanding that a whole food is more than the sum of its extracted parts. Fermentation gave the samurai vitamin K2, a clot-dissolving enzyme, a hearty probiotic, and complete protein, bundled together with the fiber and the cofactors that make them all work, in a single food that cost almost nothing. Modern wellness took that bundle apart, put each piece in its own bottle, and sold it back to us as 4 separate breakthroughs. The samurai just ate the beans. So here's how you actually eat it, because the texture is the real barrier, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. Buy it frozen from an Asian grocer, usually in a 3-pack of little tubs with sauce sachets included, and thaw it in the fridge overnight. If the whole beans intimidate you, get the chopped version, called hikiwari, which is milder. Now, the ritual. Stir it first, hard, 20 to 50 times, before you add anything, until it turns from a clump into that light, foamy, thread-draped texture. This genuinely changes the experience. Then mix in the little sauce packet and a dab of Japanese mustard, which cuts the aroma a lot. Serve it over hot rice with some chopped green onion. Cracking an egg over it is traditional. And if you want the beginner-friendly version that has converted 1,000 skeptics, add a swirl of Japanese mayo. And here's what to actually expect on the tongue, so it doesn't surprise you. Earthy and nutty, savory, a little bitter, with a pungent aroma and that sticky, stretching pull. It is polarizing on purpose. The rice, the mustard, and the mayo aren't cheating. They're the scaffolding that makes the first few tries land. And here's where people go wrong, so you don't. Don't skip the stirring, because unstirred natto is gummier and stronger. Don't microwave it screaming hot, because heat drives the smell up and damages the very enzyme you want. Warm rice is perfect, boiling is not. Don't judge it on the first bite, because almost every lifelong natto lover started as a skeptic, and palate adaptation over 3 or 4 tries is real. And don't buy a huge amount before you know. Just get 1 3-pack. 1 small tub, around 40 to 50 grams, most days beats a big serving once. That's the amount the Japanese actually eat, often at breakfast, and the benefits come from the habit, not the size. This is a habit food, not a heroic dose. A samurai army on the run packed hot soybeans into straw, and the heat of their own horses turned it into something none of them understood, and they ate it and passed it down for 1,000 years. Today, we can finally measure what they stumbled into, a food that helps put calcium where it belongs, keeps blood moving, and feeds the gut. And our response has been to break it into 4 supplements and sell each one back at a premium. The beans were the answer the whole time, and a pack still costs about $1. If this changed how you think about that shelf of longevity pills, subscribe, because we are breaking down the real fuel behind these cultures, one food at a time. And tell me in the comments, what ancient diet or method do you want broken down next? I am reading them, and the best ones become the next video.